Good evening. There is an act called SC and ST Prevention of Atrocities Act, meaning this is an act that has been passed by the parliament to prevent atrocities against the people who belong to scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. Under this particular act, a person can be booked and a minimum punishment of 6 months imprisonment can be awarded. Now, the point is that if a person is booked under this particular act and if the minimum punishment is given 6 months, minimum is 6 months. It can be 1 year, it can be 1.5 years or 2 years, depending on the severity of the this crime that has been performed by a person against the people who belong to scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. This incident happened in Madhya Pradesh. A person has been booked under SC and ST Prevention of Atrocities Act, and the trial court has imprisoned this person for a period of 6 months, meaning the sentence is given uh, 6 months imprisonment, and a fine of 500 rupees has been imposed, meaning both 500 rupees penalty plus 6 months of imprisonment. So this is the minimum one that is said by the act. After that, that person has moved the high court, and the high court has reduced the minimum punishment, that 6 months punishment which has been granted by the trial court, it has been reduced to 11 days. That's it, right? So 6 months has been reduced to 11 days, and when it comes to the penalty, that has been increased from 500 rupees to 3000 rupees. So this was a big shock for the government, and the government has moved the Supreme Court. Supreme Court verified the facts, and Supreme Court made it very, very clear that a punishment, a minimum punishment that is given under any act should not be reduced further. Meaning, if it is minimum 6 months of imprisonment according to the act, and if the court grants the same thing, awards the same punishment to a person, that further cannot be reduced by the court. So this is what he said, and the person was asked to surrender before the trial court, and he has to undergo the so-called 6 months of imprisonment, meaning under this is the ruling that is given by the Supreme Court. So meaning, if a person is given minimum punishment, that cannot be reduced further. But if the punishment is larger than the minimum punishment, that can be bring down to the level of the minimum punishment. Please remember this one. So these are all the important points. As you keep on reading the newspapers, you will come across with the various aspects and what is the version of the Supreme Court that plays very, very crucial role. Fine. Next thing is that when it comes to, I'll show you the document after some time. If we know that there is a disease called leprosy. On the grounds of leprosy, divorce can be granted. On the grounds of leprosy, divorce can be granted. If you look at India, India is a multi-religious country. There are so many religions, and different religions have got different acts, different laws with respect to marriage, divorce, and property. Fine. So you must be knowing what is Article 44 of the Constitution that mentions about the Uniform Civil Code. And starting from 1950 till today also, Article 44 was not implemented. There is nothing like any Uniform Civil Code under this that has been passed by the Parliament. But otherwise, different religions are permitted to have different acts with respect to marriage, divorce, and property. And almost all the acts that are passed by the Parliament, they permit that leprosy as a ground for divorce. But now there is a ruling that leprosy is no more. Leprosy is no more a ground for this for giving the divorce, for applying for the divorce. Accordingly, various laws that are related to different religions have been amended. Very, very, very important point, right? Next, another thing I would like to discuss with you today is that regarding the Election Commission of India. Election Commission of India, there is a chief election commissioner and some other members who are called election commissioners. Please remember, if you look at election commission at any time, we see one chief election commissioner and two other members, the so-called election commissioners. Please remember, number two is not fixed by the constitution. Constitution says that there shall be a chief election commissioner and some other members as decided by the president from time to time. Meaning, there's nothing like any two. Right now, we got two. Of course, starting from the year 1989, the number has been increased to three. Otherwise, before the year 1989, election commission was a single member body and it was headed by a chief election commissioner. But in the year 1989, for a very short period of time, two more election commissioners were appointed and they were removed within a very short period. But again, in the year 1993, when P.V. Narasimha Rao was the Prime Minister of India, two more election commissioners were appointed. And since then, in the election commission, we always see one chief election commissioner and two election commissioners. Clear? And please remember, all the members, chief election commissioner and other election commissioners, everybody is appointed by the President of India. Right? And now, very recently, that is Mr. Sushil Chandra has been appointed as the election commissioner. Right? Very in the recent past, we have discussed that we got a chief election commissioner, Sunil Arora, and that is a chief election commissioner. Apart from that, you have two more election commissioners, and one person who is already existing is Ashok Lavasa, who is also an IAS officer. And now we got another gentleman by name Sushil Chandra. He belongs to IRS. Generally, what happens, in general, there is no compulsion at all. Generally, the people who belong to IAS are appointed as a chief election commissioner and other election commissioners. But there are also incidents where the people who belong to other services are also appointed to the election commission. Example, Mr. Chandra, right? Sushil Chandra, who has been appointed as the one of the election commissioners now. He belongs to Indian Revenue Service, IRS. Please remember this. Earlier, there was a person by name Krishnamurthy who also served as the chief election commissioner, and he also belonged to this IRS. And after that, now Sushil Chandra is another person who belonged to IRS, has been appointed as a election commissioner. Please remember these points, and I would like to show you the document now. Kindly have a look at this. Look at this. The Parliament passed a bill on February 13th, 2019, removing leprosy as a ground for divorce under 5 personal laws. Please have a look at the list of these 5 personal laws, and all these laws permitted for leprosy as a ground, as a reason for divorce. Now they have been amended, and leprosy is no more a ground for demanding for divorce. Accordingly, 5 personal laws will be amended, like Hindu Marriage Act, Dissolution of Muslim Marriage Act, Divorce Act of Christians, Special Marriage Act, Hindu Adoptions and Maintenance Act. Accordingly, all these acts will be amended. Look at this. So this is the point I was telling you. That person name is Vikram Das from Madhya Pradesh. He was found guilty under SC and ST Prevention of Atrocities Act of 1989 and was sentenced to 6 months imprisonment and 500 rupees fine by the trial court. Okay, and the High Court has reduced the term. What is the term? 6 months term to 11 days, but increased fine of 500 to 3,000 rupees. But when Madhya Pradesh government approached the Supreme Court held that High Court could not award sentence less than the minimum sentence contemplated by the statute even if it was done in the exercise of its inherent power under Article 142 of the Constitution of India. Very, 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 very important. Am I clear? Otherwise, what happens? The essence of these acts will be diluted, right? And the people who are really involved in such type of, atrocities must be punished accordingly. Look at this. Election Commission of India, Chief Election Commissioner, as you know, this is Sunil Arora, and this election commissioners Ashok Lavasa, he's an IAS, and now you got another person IRS, that is Sushil Chandra. Please remember the names. Sunil Arora is the Chief Election Commissioner, Ashok Lavasa, and also Sushil Chandra. These are the two election commissioners. Fine, that's all for the day. I'll see you in the next class with more current affairs. Thank you so much for being with me this evening, and I wish you all a very, very, very good luck. Take very good care. Good night.